Hey, folks, I mentioned this last week, but longtime supporters of WTF Comedy Central have released my latest stand-up album, Thinky Pain, on vinyl. The best place to get it is insound.com. That's INSOUND.com. Comedy Central also has released some recent specials by David Spade, Jim Gaffigan, Patton Oswalt, Dave Attell, Tracy Morgan, and Hannibal Buress. The best place to get them is from ccdirect.com. You download them there and then you own them. Do yourself a favor and try it out. We're also sponsored today by our friends at HostGator, and I call them our friends because we've been satisfied customers of HostGator for years, long before they came on as a sponsor. We created WTFpod.com using HostGator, and it's been great for us. If you have any idea for a business or a blog or a podcast, use HostGator just like we do. Create your own site in no time for as little as $3.47 per month. And if you're shaky about building a site, HostGator will give you all the help you need. Use the offer code WTF when you sign up and get 30% off your hosting. That's HostGator.com, offer code WTF. Now let's get on with it. The show, that is.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fucking ears, what the fuck sticks, what the fucking, what? What happened? What happened to my brain in the middle of that? Wow. My brain just crapped out. Like the service dropped. The call was dropped from my brain to my mouth. Okay, I'm Marc Maron. This is WTF. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here. Rhys Darby from, you know him as the manager on the Flight of the Conchords, is going to be talking to me today. He's got a thing on the Netflix called Short Poppies, a series that he shot in New Zealand. I'm going to talk to him a bit about New Zealand. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. It's not even an accent. Just saying it like that. I think it's sort of my brain's attempt at an accent, and then once again, my brain bailing on that. My provider dropped the call between brain and mouth. Yeah, so Rhys Darby in a few. Oh my God, man, I'm at the end of something. You know, I had this dream that all my favorite jackets were lost, and I kind of knew where they were, but they were gone. I don't know what that means. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. I don't know what you guys have invested in dreams. It means I don't have any armor left, or it means that I'm cold, or it means that, you know, maybe I need new jackets. I don't know. I don't know. It's not even that great a dream, but I just remember it. I remember that dream. Oh, I'm having a hard time breathing because I ate like a pig about an hour ago. My friend Ashley, it's her birthday. She just told me it was her birthday. She works for me a bit. And just sprung it on me. It's my birthday today. All right, well, so there's even though in my mind I was like, I'm going to go home, going to make a smoothie, going to start treating myself right. I'm like, there's only one thing to do. Let's go to Oinkster, get pastrami sandwiches, horchata shakes, and fries. Let's do that. So that's what I did after being in Phoenix all weekend. My brother's wife's triplets bat mitzvah. I don't know what you call it. A triple header. I do not know why my hands and feet are tingling all the time. It's not diabetes. I don't know what it is. It's not good. I don't know if it's stress. Maybe it goes along with the fact that I can't breathe sometimes. Why am I so stressed out? Why have I been eating like that? Well, because my show premiered last week. Perhaps that's it. Because maybe, you know, when you try to be a better person and you're trying not to lose your shit and you're trying not to get angry, that energy's got to go somewhere. Apparently it wants to blow my hands and feet off and wants me to eat disgusting things because it's so fucking good. I went to In-N-Out Burger the other day, and these aren't paid plugs. This is just what I did. I'm sharing it not because, like, I don't necessarily think In-N-Out's a good idea. Even if they do have weird referrals to Bible quotations on their wrappers. That's how it would work with me if I was a Christian. If it's a Christian operation, then, you should eat the In-N-Out Burger, go to the Bible verse, and then ask for forgiveness from yourself and from Jesus for shoving that shit into your face. Look, everything is fine, okay? The show premiered last week, and, the day the show premiered, IFC, knowing that I do not drink or do drugs, said, well, let's send Mark a crate of ice cream. So that came in the mail. So that's where that started. Oh, my God, it's really been going on a bit. like 6 pints of Ben & Jerry's with some Ghirardelli caramel and chocolate sauce and some sundae cups. So believe it or not, that's what I did. I watched my premiere of my show alone, eating a sundae that I made by myself. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I can't think of a better way to watch it. And I hadn't seen it since we did the edit. And I got to say I'm pretty happy with it. And I got to say that the feedback that I've gotten about the first show was great. Do you want some backstory on the premiere of Maron Season 2? Complete coincidence that Sarah Silverman appeared on my show's premiere and Louis C.K.'s premiere. Bizarre coincidence. There's no way to plan that stuff, but it did happen. What do you want to know? You want some backstory on the episode? The episode, if you haven't watched it, I appear on The Talking Dead. A lot of people are going, do you and Chris Hardwick really not get along? Me and Chris Hardwick get along fine. I don't know if last week I also did his show Midnight. And I quite like the tension between me and Chris Hardwick on television. It was a little more intense on my show, but the comfortable sort of frenemy bit that we did on Midnight is about where it hovers. I'm okay with him most of the time. Did Conan? All I wanted to do is meet Sharon Stone. I don't really get excited about celebrities, and I had Conan walk me in because she was on the show with me. And I don't know what I was expecting from her. Maybe an acknowledgement, maybe something, maybe some connection. I walk into her dressing room with Conan. She's got a few people there. She just goes crazy to see Conan. Understandable. It's his show. He goes, this is Marc Maron. She looks at me and she goes, oh, okay. Okay, Mark. Hi, how are you? Just flattened out. All I wanted was a little juice, just a little bit of something that says that Sharon Stone might, think I'm attractive or engaging or someone she might want to talk to. Maybe I just wanted to tap into her crazy for a few minutes. Just use her as a battery. How about a little charm for little Marky? No, nothing. It was almost as if it was like I'd been dismissed. So I stood there while her and Conan kept talking for about 4 seconds and realized I'm not even supposed to be here right now. I just don't have it, man. I don't have it for everybody. You know what I mean? Sharon Stone, nothing. She gave me nothing. It really didn't, nothing. Got nothing. It's okay. It was good to see her. I'm a big fan of hers, despite whatever she thinks of me. So some backstory on the Talking Dead episode of Maron. Okay, do you want real dirt? All right, let's see. What is there? We did shoot it on the Talking Dead set. You would think that because AMC and IFC are in the same family of networks, it would have been easy just to go over there and say, hey, you don't mind if we shoot some stuff here? Not so easy, but it worked out because it looked great. I was very happy with that. Michael Ian Black, how fun was that? I got two guys who I have publicly tense relationships beaten up on me. I will be honest with you. When I watched the edit after we'd shot that show and I watched the first edit and I realized that what we had for coverage and everything else is that I was uncomfortable with how much of a fucking beating I took from those two guys. I got nothing in. I literally had my ass handed to me in the premiere episode of my show. I was okay with it because I thought it was funny. But I was a little uncomfortable for me while watching that show. It's weird when people ask me, "What about? Are you and Chris really okay?" Yeah, we're okay until I make something weird. Are you and Michael okay? Yeah, kind of until, I make something weird. So it's kind of on me. But it couldn't have worked out better. What other trivia? Yes, my manager is actually a British woman with blonde hair who was not thrilled at the way she was portrayed. But I'm finding, as life goes on, that anybody you base a character on will be not thrilled with how they are represented. I am learning that. It's a tough lesson, but I'm learning it. If you did not see the premiere episode of my season 2, I believe it's available. Is there IFC on demand? I don't know. I'm sure they're running it. If you have not seen any of them, you can see the first season of Maron on Netflix, and it is on every Thursday night for the next many Thursdays on IFC at 10 Eastern and Pacific and 9 otherwise. Watch it. It's good. I'm very proud of this show. I think it's funny. Hey, back in the day, the only way for a business to avoid the post office was to lease a postage meter. But back in those days, you still had black and white TVs and corded phones. The times have changed, my friends. Technology made it so we don't have to watch TV in black and white anymore, and we don't need cords on our phones. So why are so many people still using the postage meter? I don't know. There's a much better and easier way to get your postage. Stamps.com, my friends. With Stamps.com, you can do so much more than you can with a postage meter and for so much less. Get official U.S. postage for any letter, any package using your computer and printer. No extra hardware to buy or lease. And unlike a meter, there are no long-term commitments. You can save up to 80% versus a meter. Look, I'm not always on top of the latest advancements in technology, but Stamps.com just makes sense, folks. Right now, use my promo code WTF for this special offer. Start a no-risk trial, plus get a $110 bonus offer that includes a digital scale and up to $55 of free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in WTF. That's Stamps.com. Enter WTF. Also, my friends, let's go to my schedule, shall we? I'm going to be in Nashville at Zany's this Friday the 16th at 7 o'clock. I'm doing a show at Zany's in Nashville. Albuquerque, New Mexico, my hometown. It looks like that show's selling pretty well. I'll be at the National Hispanic Cultural Center on May 31st. That's a Saturday. It's a benefit for the Endorphin Power Company. Saturday, June 14th, I'll be at the 26th First Annual Comedy Festival in Chicago, Illinois. And June 26th through 28th at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. Tickets are on sale for all these shows. Go to WTFpod.com. All right, that's my gigs. All right, those are my gigs. What is that? Why is my phone ringing? Oh shit! I told Jon Favreau to call me. I left a message for him because I saw his new movie, Chef. Maybe that's him. Jon Favreau, hello.
How you doing, man?
Hey, listen. I'll be honest with you. Can I be honest with you?
Please.
I watched a movie last night.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the whole thing.
Yeah?
And I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
What a sweet movie.
Thank you.
Do you watch it and go, I made a sweet movie?
I like food like you, and I like chef culture, and, I just want to do something that represented that culture and do something that came from the heart, and I'm really, really proud of this one.
I think you did. I think it must be tricky to shoot food. I mean, food is great to look at, and but I think you framed it properly. You made it beautiful.
It's cheap, compared to if you show a well caramelized pork belly. It's as exciting in many ways as a big $10 million CGI sequence. So.
It doesn't cost as much as Iron Man. Is that what you're trying?
That's right.
But that scene where you get angry and you lose your shit.
Yeah.
And your recourse is to just go cook for no one. That was a very impressive, delicious fit of rage.
Thank you. I was trying to channel one of your intros.
It actually is a similar thing. But how good of a cook are you? I mean, are you solid?
I'm pretty solid now. I definitely learned. Roy Choi, who's a chef that started the whole food truck movement out here with the Kogi truck. He was he trained me, and he sent me off to culinary school, and then he let me work in his kitchens, and by the end, I was working the line. I was doing full shifts as a line cook.
That's an intense gig, man. I couldn't hack the line. I was a short order cook in college, and then I went and worked at a regular restaurant on the line, and I didn't have chops, and I never felt so ashamed and like such a fuck up in my life.
It is quite an intense set of circumstances. I had bartended, but that's different. But I think when you're older, you embrace these things more. I don't think I could have done it younger. But
I mean, working on the line, I mean, it's got to work in sync. It's like a band, and if you're the guy at the frying station and you botch a thing of onion rings, you're going to hold up everybody.
No, everybody, and they're not. And unlike a band, they could yell "fuck you" in your face, right?
Yeah, and then
while you're doing it.
That's right. And then you go "fuck you," and then the manager goes, "All right, take a walk. Let's take a walk." Yeah, the restaurant. I've only known crazy chefs, and I think you handled that. The emotions of it very well. Now let me ask you. So you got Dustin Hoffman in there as a restaurant owner.
Yes.
I mean, I obviously everyone knows that you're buddies with Robert Downey, and that explains how he's in there. But and all of a sudden Dustin Hoffman walks out, and of course I'm like, holy shit, that's Dustin Hoffman right there.
That's right.
Like I imagine you must have said that the first time you did.
I did. What really got me is he read the script and he was like, I thought he was going to talk about food or about my movies, and he starts talking about Kramer versus Kramer.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my God, yeah, because Kramer versus. I mean, the core story of this film is it's about a dude who's divorced,
right?
Who's not given any attention to his family or balanced his life in any way, and he's divorced. He's got a 10-year-old boy, and then he has to spend time with the boy and reconnect with him, and that was the whole through line of Kramer versus Kramer. I went back and watched that movie again and rewrote my film.
You rewrote it?
I did a rewrite. I did, you'll do like a polish on different relationships or different characters, and it really made me examine the father-son relationship with greater detail.
What in Kramer versus Kramer triggered the re-exam? I mean, outside the whole movie, what did you think you did not get right?
I liked the subtlety. Remember, the 70s, a lot different than now as far as the way studios and script notes get in.
Uh-huh.
And it was a very subtle relationship. He wasn't a terrible dad in it.
Right.
There's just moments that are real, and the moments that are uncomfortable are really uncomfortable, and the resolution is really sweet and not overstated. He can't cook for the kid in the beginning, and there's cooking in it, too. He can't cook for the kid. He has shells in the French toast.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole run-in with the kid eating the ice cream in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, the way they show resolution is they cook breakfast together and read the paper. And to me, that's like in Big Night. That was like what an independent film has to do now, what a studio film used to do then. And it was, I just let that inform the relationship because I thought it was so moving when I had seen it originally.
Well, I think that's interesting what you say, that the nature of independent film at a different time, maybe even 10 years ago, was an art film that could not service the larger audience like a larger movie. I would say that the assumption about independent film at another time was that you wouldn't get a happy ending, you'd be challenged.
Right.
It may be a little rough around the edges, and that was the nature of it. But I think what you're saying is interesting in that this is a sweet movie that is emotionally pleasing, that takes you on a journey, that doesn't punch you in the face or make you wonder why you're alive necessarily.
No, but it also shows things without overstating them and leaving some ambiguity
right.
to certain relationships. But that used to be what studio movies were. In the
right.
70s,
that's
that
right.
was a studio movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
20 years ago, that was indie. Now it's a cable show.
Right.
Now it's not even an indie anymore. So it's like this is a bit of a dinosaur. But it's so nice to go to a theater, though, and share that experience with people. You don't get that. You get great television. But unless you're on Twitter, you're not sharing any sort of common experience.
Unless maybe one other person, but certainly not a bunch of strangers. I mean, you can do that at home, but it's not. I wouldn't recommend it. Have a busload of strangers come over and watch a movie with you. But you had a great cast. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's in it, Robert Downey Jr., who was great. And I like that you use these guys for 5 minutes. It's refreshing to have tight scenes with guys that have an amazing amount of intensity and talent.
Thank you.
It's a treat, man. It's sort of like,
it's like cooking, It's like you don't want to use too much. It's use strong flavors delicately.
Yeah.
And it was just and everybody, it's all on story too. And it's just it was just so, I mean, hopefully you got some of the fun that we had making it as you watch it, but it really was it's like going off and just doing like a surprise acoustic set at a small club. That's what it felt like.
I like that analogy. So how long did it take you to make this? I know when we talked here in the garage the first time, I think you had mentioned that you were working on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a passion project, I guess you would call it. But I mean, how long did it really take for it to come together?
I wrote it in January, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, because I haven't written something this fast since like Swingers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about things in my life that I can relate to. It's about critics. It's about the creative process. It's about family. Then I rewrote it after I started working with Roy, and we shot it in like a month. It took about a month to shoot. So it was essentially the same schedule as Swingers was.
It also deals with that generational thing about Twitter, about social networking, and about like the stubbornness of a creative person, which I had when I started the podcast. It's like, I'm not really that guy. And the way you enter that world is that whole the whole meltdown on Twitter that leads to the other meltdown. I mean, I relate to that. I do that once or twice a week. Not the public.
Everybody does. I mean, that's our generation.
Yeah.
My kids won't have that problem. They have a healthy respect, as does the kid in the movie.
Yeah.
But I also think it offers there's the dark side, which we show first. But really, the thing that allows a guy to open a food truck, the thing that allows you to do your podcast, it's all the same thing. It's the ability to narrowcast to a specific audience that you could passionately and sincerely speak to. You don't require late-night talk show ratings.
That's
People
right.
can find your thing when they do. I listen to it all the time. And it's because it's a leisurely experience where you seek out the things that you want, and you're not forced to get the entire audience at the same time. And that's a result of social media. So the technology, which is undoing, is his salvation as well.
Well, and also, like you mentioned before, I think it's great that food, as beautiful as it is and how relatable that is, that you can really you confront the struggle of a creative person. I mean, the way that you interacted with the food critic in the restaurant. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that in any creative position? Like, I think it's a very accessible portal into the creative personality. And it's nice because I really felt that you were, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, you're a very sweet guy, and I think you brought a lot of yourself to this thing because you could have tipped it into asshole land. I mean, I don't think it was probably necessarily a difficult balance for you as an actor or as a person, but you could have, it must have been dicey to not push the self-pity or the anger into a non-sympathetic place. I don't think you would have. You
know what they say, there's a little asshole in everyone.
Yeah, I have a lot. I have more than most people. I was gifted with a little more than most people.
But what's so fun though is when you lose it, it usually is a tell. First guy raises his voice, loses the argument, and especially in the case of this movie, when you have to scream in somebody's face, "You're not getting to me." It's just so absurd. You're usually more mad at yourself.
Paralyzing insecurity.
That's what it is, and that's and that with comics and with filmmakers and with chefs, I find a common through line is they are beyond reproach when it comes to getting notes or ideas or thoughts or having somebody else, especially management, shape their vision.
And the sad thing is you knew he was right.
I knew he was right.
I mean, that was the interesting thing about that part of the movie is, and when you were blowing up, it's like, I'm like, what, is he going to cop to it? But you can't, not in that moment, because it's too emotional.
No, he doesn't realize it, because it's admitting that that all these little terrible decisions that he's made over the course of his 47 years, it has added up to this malaise that's just, he doesn't understand why nothing's working, why he's not happy. He has everything he thought he wanted. And that's kind of the myth of our generation, of our age group, is how did I get here? It's like the Talking Heads song.
Sure. You know what I liked about the whole thing is that right from the beginning, the relationship between you and your ex-wife is pained and sweet. There's not this tension, because that would have added another level of difficulty to the narrative, that she's obviously supportive and wants the best for you, and you don't really go into whatever the hell happened between you two, but there's a lot of love there, and I think that's a nice way to approach that. It doesn't clutter up the story.
I think again, I tried to really show things in a real way, and all the things that would have been a studio note to change, which was, draw a finer point to that, or make it clearer why they're not together, or show them upset, or break the relationship more, I just avoided. That's not what I've experienced. I'm a kid from a divorce. My folks got along really well, and it makes it sadder in a way because you just don't understand why they're not together.
Yeah, it pulls at you. And the kid was great. I don't want to not mention him. What's his name?
MJ Anthony.
He was great.
Kid, 10-year-old playing a 10-year-old, which is rare.
Yeah, it was nice, man. And you shot the cities beautifully. Austin. You were in New Orleans. You were in Miami.
Little Havana. We spent some time into.
It was great. I really enjoyed it, and congratulations on it. And it's open now, right?
It's open in New York and L.A., and then it's going to be hit in other cities in the following weeks. So thank you for your support, and thanks for having me on again. I love listening, and honored to be on your show. And
and congratulations, man. It's really a sweet movie.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care.
Bye.
See, isn't that nice to have a friend of the show like Jon Favreau? I think so. All right, what are we doing now? Folks, when was the last time you bought a pair of glasses? Did you pay as much for them as you did for your phone? It shouldn't be that way, all right? And at Warby Parker, glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. That's $95 for everything. Glasses, a hard case, a cleaning cloth. You don't have to buy anything else. And anti-reflective and anti-glare coating are included at no extra cost. How do you like that? Warby Parker makes buying glasses online easy and risk-free. The Home Try-On program allows you to order 5 pairs of glasses to be shipped directly to you. You try them on in the comfort of your own home in front of your mirror and, see what looks good on you. Show your friends, show your family there. And you keep the frames for up to 5 days before sending them back at no cost to you. Just use the prepaid return shipping label with no obligation to buy anything. You'll also contribute to a charitable cause for every pair of glasses sold. Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. Go to warbyparker.com/WTF to choose your 5 free home try-on frames. By visiting that URL, you will get free 3-day shipping. Send the frames back. Choose your favorites and order. That's warbyparker.com/WTF, okay? All right. Let's talk to this fella. Have I talked to anyone from New Zealand before? Let's talk to Rhys Darby. Rhys. Is that a family name? How's that?
It's just, it's Welsh. So it's the same as Reese Witherspoon, but it's just different spelling.
Welsh.
Yeah, so it's, yeah.
Are you Welsh?
Well, there's a bit of background there.
Yeah.
Ancestry, goes back. Certainly, there's certainly some relatives in Wales on one side of the family. Yeah.
Have you visited him?
No, I think my sister may have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come from a big family, and
do you know your sister?
Yeah.
How big a family?
They're so much older than me. I'm like the baby.
Oh, okay.
I'm like
okay.
9-year gap between the next one, which is my brother.
9 years.
9 years.
Were you an accident?
Oh, it must have been. It was,
I guess we're having it.
Yeah, and then the parents just split after me.
They did?
Yeah,
They were done.
It was all over. So it's a mess. So
they kept trying though.
Wow. I don't know what happened, but so I've been.
But you grew up in New Zealand. That's where you're from.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Okay, so like Welsh to New Zealand. I don't know. Here's the interesting thing. I know. I think it's going to be helpful to people in America with the new series Short Poppies that we'll get a sort of window into New Zealand because I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I know they shot The Hobbit there. It looks pretty. I hear it's beautiful. Anything people, you got to go to New Zealand. Why? Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know how you live. What's going on down there?
Well, the Lord of the Rings, it really sort of put the wrong perception into people's minds.
Did it?
Well, because a lot of it is like that.
Yeah.
But we don't have obviously the monsters and the crazy wizards and
Oh,
things.
no.
Well, there's a few. There's one wizard.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if he's still working. He's in Christchurch. And actually, I think he's moved on now.
Yeah.
But I guess people. It's because of the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, whatever. It's sort of brought this kind of mysterious, kind of mythological feel to the country.
Right.
So when you think of it, you do think of the beautiful mountains and gullies and the forests, and then you think, okay, so how many people are there? And everyone knows there's like very few people.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 million. You know, and
for the whole country?
Yeah, that's the whole country. But that's pretty new. Like, it only seemed like last year we had 3 million. So,
so the Lord of the Rings is working. It's
word's getting out. People are coming over. But there's still plenty of room. There's a lot of forest. And beaches and things. And it's two islands and a tiny island at the bottom, which you hardly notice, called Stewart Island.
Does anyone go there?
Yeah, there's a few people living there. I'm going there for the first time this year.
To do what?
Just to check it out.
Yeah. What's it known for? What is?
I think down the bottom of the South Island, because there's two major islands, the North one and the South one.
Yeah.
And the South Island, the bottom of there, were very well known for the bluff oysters, which is our shellfish. Biggest oysters you get, best oysters on the planet.
These are indigenous oysters, not farmed, or?
No, these are indigenous. Yeah, and then you've got the island called Stewart Island.
Yeah. Where do the mussels come from? The green mussels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're all over the coast of New Zealand, everywhere.
Just green mussels everywhere.
Big mussels everywhere, really big ones.
Yeah.
We've got great shellfish. So and I guess we all live in little, and it's like a modern world. It's like this. We have microphones and things. We live in houses.
Yeah, houses.
We have villages.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a real world, but smaller.
But it is a weird perception that, I'm not, necessarily, I'm not stupid, but I may be ignorant. I mean, I've been to Australia, and then you go to Australia, and they're like, you got to go to New Zealand. I'm like, oh my god, where's that?
Yeah, well, how much different is that? Was it worth the extra 3 hours or whatever? And it is, because it is different. Yeah, the funny thing about New Zealand is it was only ever inhabited by birds, bird life.
Yeah.
For thousands of years. Just birds.
No indigenous people?
No, not at the beginning. Just birds.
Yeah.
And then no mammals.
Yeah.
Like the only mammal was a fruit bat,
right.
which is technically a bird.
So there's an overrun with birds.
Yeah, it was
Nothing
overrun
to
with
eat 'em.
birds, and then man arrived and
In what form?
Bipedal.
Oh, okay.
Human upright. And there's some theories about, the first indigenous people, that maybe the Moriori. You might have heard of that
Sure,
term.
yeah.
But then the Maori.
Yeah, the Maori I heard
The Maori
of.
you've heard of. Yeah, there's the one before them, Moriori.
Yeah.
Which is, there's a lot of theories about them. Were they there first? Whatever.
Where'd they come from? On a
Yeah,
boat?
where did they come from?
Sure.
They ended up on Chatham Island now,
Yeah.
I believe, which is off the east coast of New Zealand. They got chased there by the Maori.
Right,
The Maori
right.
people, very strong, very warrior.
Are they still in New Zealand?
The Maori?
Maoris?
Oh, yeah, of course. They're our indigenous people.
Are they treated well there, or they
yeah.
they have a bad neighborhood, or how does it work?
Well, it's sort of, there was some wars
Sure.
when the British arrived.
Sure.
It was 25 years of war.
British like to either train or get rid of brown people.
Yeah. Move them on, or and when they saw these ones, I thought, hey, we've got our hands full here. Look, they've got spears and all sorts. They've got forts. 'Cause the Maori, they invented trench warfare. The
Did they?
Maori, yeah.
Wow.
So they fought. They had these trenches, and they would hide inside
So
them.
that's where the British got it.
They stole it off the Maori.
The Maori gave us the trench warfare.
That's right.
Oh my God.
You learned that today.
Yeah.
So anyway, they had to. So they were used to, well, I guess before then it would have been the Aborigine in Australia, which is a completely different type of people.
Yeah.
Very, very peaceful. They just sort of moved them on, didn't they? Sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, or
push them further out into the desert.
Wipe them out or move them on.
That's right.
Thank you. We'll have all this.
Yeah.
So they probably thought, we'll do the same over here with some different brown ones. These ones, look. But these ones got the Maori. They had the facial tattoos.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, wait, back it up. We're going to have to return with some guns here. And so they actually tried some sort of bargaining. We'll give you some muskets if you give us, this beach.
Yeah. Your country.
Yeah, essentially. And so there was a bit of toing and froing there, and then 25 years of war. Which ended in a stalemate, which they said the British didn't win. So it was ended up in a treaty where they divided, but really the British then sort of tricked them and ended up, getting a lot of their land, and this is called the Treaty of Waitangi. And so that's where we're at. And then now New Zealanders in general just account for everyone that lives there.
So it's gotten better.
Yeah, it's gotten better.
A little more integrated.
Yeah, totally. And we've got a lot of Asian community now as well.
Asians are everywhere.
Yeah. So that's no big surprise.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing, though. Especially like when you go, because here I don't notice as much, but if I go to Canada, like there are some areas where the huge populations of Asian people, and they change it makes a lot more different food available.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good sushi.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we've very much embraced the Asian culture in New Zealand, and yeah, it's where we are on the globe.
Where did your family come from? Because it's always like I hear stories about Australia, and it was like people who were prisoners or pushed out. I don't know what the real history is. I speculate. I like bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You're not a historian. I'm not expecting you to give me the real story, but I like your version of it.
Yeah.
How did your people end up in New Zealand?
Well, see, New Zealand, they arrived basically people who wanted a different life. So it wasn't Australia was the convicts, but the people who came from England to travel all the way, like 6 months in a boat to get to New Zealand, really to set up a new life, rural farmers and people who...
Desperate people.
Well, you couldn't be too desperate they had enough of Manchester and Liverpool and what was going on there. There's got to be a better life than this. So off they went, and they set up camp in this new world.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just think of it. It's so
to show
amazing.
up in New Zealand before it was really populated.
Birds everywhere.
But beach,
Yeah, beautiful
and
beaches.
wizards.
Yeah,
and
the old
monsters.
wizard, you know.
Yeah.
A few cave-dwelling trolls, but really, just what the adventure that comes with that.
I can't imagine that. As a modern person, can you imagine being on a boat for fucking 6 months that doesn't have conveniences?
The closest thing is like when you think of Star Trek and how they just are going through space, forever and looking for new worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what we did here back in those days. And, I'm really envious of that. But of course, only because of the idea of it, but the reality of it, of course, they all got sick and half of them died and they didn't make it.
Horrible.
And so,
Horrible. Throw them overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they set up our world as it is now.
How many generations your family been there?
It probably goes back 3, maybe 4 generations.
Yeah,
I guess.
1800s?
I mean, New Zealand's pretty young country. So
most of the diet, most of the cuisine there is like British influence.
Well, a lot of it is seafood. We've kind of gone to our own thing.
Yeah.
Big on the seafood. Crayfish, fish. Shellfish.
So fresh too, right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about food. Let's just talk about food.
You just reach out from your car as you're driving along the coast. And,
put your hand in the
put
water.
Your hand out, scoop up, a small dolphin, whatever you want, and just chuck it in the boot. That's the trunk for you Americans.
Yeah, and then go home and grill it, cook it
Go
out.
home and grill it. No probs. That's one of our sayings.
No probs.
Barbecue.
Yeah. Oh, fucking, it's amazing.
It's a bit of a paradise, to be honest with you. That's why people go there, and it's a long way away. It's one of those places where you couldn't get any further.
Yeah.
Next stop is Antarctica.
And it's quiet though, right?
It's quiet.
On some level, and I've said this about Australia to some, to different responses, but no one really gives a shit about New Zealand, right? Mm. In the sense that you're not going to get caught in the middle of anything.
No.
There's no pressing political urgency. So it's it must be really peaceful.
Yeah, it is. We try to. I
didn't mean to be rude.
That's good. That's how we want it. I look back at my home as a village, as a peace-loving village.
Yeah.
And but we like to have our stamp on the world. We have our say. And some of that is sometimes it's in
the mussels.
It's in the shellfish.
Yeah.
But I like to make a stand in comedy.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, we might come from this place, next stop Antarctica, but look, we can make the funny.
Well, what is it? Well, yeah, but what is it? Because I've watched some of your stand-up. I've seen you on Flight of the Conchords, and I'm hip to the new series. And I've seen you in movies, and no one here. I didn't know you as a stand-up, but then again, I'm stupidly American in the sense that I don't know a lot of the British stand-ups. I know some Australian stand-ups because I've been there. Mm-hmm. But we look at that form stand-up sort of started here, and then kind of spread out. Mm-hmm. But obviously, there's a comedy scene in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's small.
Right. Well, what did you do before you did comedy?
Yeah.
When did how many brothers and sisters do you really have?
I got one brother, 3 sisters.
All right, so pretty big family. And what business was your father in?
He was a carpenter.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he build?
Houses.
Do you know how to build shit?
No. No, I didn't. Didn't get that gene.
How about cabinets?
I'm good with Legos.
Legos.
Yeah.
Good. It's a little easier. Yeah, there's not a lot of measuring.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you do cabinets tdo? Doors?
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he could do it all.
That's fucking
those
amazing.
Things you put pot plants in.
Yeah.
Pot plant holders.
What are they called? Beds. Flower beds.
Troughs for the sheep.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't you envy that?
I wish I was better with my hands.
Yeah.
But it's not my thing.
That must have been a good business though in New Zealand because people had to build their forts and their villages.
And it's still happening.
Yeah.
After the quake in Christchurch, there's so much rebuilding being
bad
required
was that?
Oh, really bad.
Oh my God, that sort of throws a wrench into the whole world of peace thing.
Well, yeah, the place got shaken up, shook up.
Have you been in a quake couple?
The quakes are pretty common in New Zealand. We're on a fault line. It's a bit like LA.
Yeah, we had 3 last week.
Yeah, exactly. So
for you, you're like, nah.
Yeah. I still worry. I mean, it's still a shock. Isn't it? Oh, here we go. But they can be it can be devastating, and that's the thing is you just don't know, and you've got to be ready. You got to be ready, everyone.
Yeah.
Just be prepared. Even though it sounds stupid, getting some your preparation. It's not. You got to do it because it's one of those things. I don't know how we ended up talking about this. But
what do you have to be
big one
ready?
could
Because
happen.
I'm concerned about it. Because I have a flashlight.
Yep.
I've got a few bottles of water.
Uh-huh.
I have one less because I gave you one.
Oh, okay.
But I got
replace that one.
Yeah.
Replace that one.
So I got water and I've got a flashlight.
Tinned food.
A couple of tinned foods.
Yeah, because
Maybe
nothing's
3 or
going to
4.
work. You know, all your power's out.
Yeah.
You
And
can't
all the
heat
food's-
anything up.
Right, and the food's going to be rotting in supermarkets.
Uh-huh.
So you really have to have and you probably have to have something to barricade yourself in for when the looting starts, depending on how long anything's going to go on for.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's an American thing, isn't it? Oh, let's loot.
Yeah.
Looting.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's not.
free invitation.
Why, it's easy.
Grab some TVs.
Yeah.
You can't plug them in.
Yeah.
Just grab them. When the power comes on, we'll be sorted.
Well, we have a certain amount of anonymity here, and apparently
Yeah.
in New Zealand, if there's looting, you're like, oh, there's John. You know, like you can't.
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you stole, John.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you.
Exactly. But what do you?
And you're a cop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Where's the morality?
Yeah.
But what did you grow up doing? I mean, you like, was it normal high school?
Yeah.
You listened to what, AC/DC music or what, rock bands? And
Yeah. Yeah, pretty normal.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the air training corps.
Really?
Yes.
You flew planes?
I flew some gliders.
Gliders.
I learnt. I was good at. So I learnt-
Combat gliders?
No, peaceful ones.
Peaceful gliders. Well, I would hope that all gliders are peaceful.
Yeah.
I don't-
They look so beautiful and peaceful, and then underneath
What do you mean
the
fl-
wings, there's some missiles.
In the glider.
Just some
You
small ones.
You got to launch them
Yeah.
before you just naturally trickle,
Yeah.
drift to the ground.
Drift off.
What do you mean? You got pulled by a plane and then cut loose?
Yeah,
and-
pulled up by a plane and
That
then
must have been
cut
fun.
loose, and then away you go.
That's amazing.
And
What was that training for? What practical use is that?
well, I early ambitions to be a jet fighter pilot.
Oh yeah.
But then those hopes and dreams were dashed when I failed miserably at the physics.
Oh.
So, you know, who would have
The-
thought?
The math?
The math and the physics. So my head's not around that kind of thing. And for some reason, you need to work out that sort of crap.
You need to know
be
the
a
sort
pilot.
of to work out where your altitude and
Yeah.
I don't even know how to talk it. I can't even throw words
I
around.
know. I would
that are
have thought
physics.
the dials do all that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so-
But I just like get me up. I'm steering.
Get me up, I'm steering it, you know, I'm going to push the landing button, you know, I can see, I'm dodging clouds. What's the problem here?
Why do I need math?
Yeah, I've got a calculator watch, you know, if anything need be, I'll punch it in.
And there's another guy in the plane with me.
Yeah, he's the math guy. The nerdy guy behind me, he knows the altitude and the flaps situation,
That's
don't
his
you?
job. I'm the guy who gets to fly
Yeah.
it. Oh, so
I just wanted the glory, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted the sunglasses and the hat.
right. Was it heartbreaking? Really?
No, I mean, I definitely, it was around that kind of Top Gun time, and but-
You did your time in the service, though. Was that a
so
requirement?
well, that wasn't the Air Force. That
Yeah.
was just as a cadet. That was
Okay.
while I was still at school, and then when I realised, you know, the fighter pilot wasn't for me, I switched to the army. So then I did some soldiering. And
You
I-
enlisted?
Yeah, I joined up with the New Zealand Army,
Uh-huh.
and I did like 4 years as a signaller.
Really?
Yeah.
What's a signaler do?
So radios.
Uh-huh.
So Morse code, telecommunications,
Yeah.
putting up antennas,
Oh, yeah?
that sort of thing. Driving around in Land Rovers.
Did you see a lot of action in New Zealand?
Well, you know, no, there was a lot of training. So we learned, we drove around, we had fun. Like I was like 17, 18,
Yeah.
and just just really, after I left, I realised, 4 years in, I'm not going to see any action. I thought I might go overseas, and but really, I realised at that point, look, I don't really want to do this. This is not me.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want to pretend I'm doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
yeah.
what I was getting confused with myself. I wanted to be an actor playing a soldier, fighting in a battle and rescuing POWs and stuff. I don't want to do it for real.
Right. And
So-
also as an actor now, you have like almost a method, the ability to, you can really do Morse code.
I can. Yeah.
And that do you put that on your resume as other skills?
Yeah, when I go in for auditions and you got to hand your resume in.
Other skills, Morse code.
I see you've got Morse code here. That's right. Okay, now we're looking for, this part is just for wacky neighbour. Okay, but your Morse code, that might come in. Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Did you shoot guns?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I fired lots of different weapons, rocket launchers, grenades.
Rocket launcher.
Yeah.
That must have been a rush.
Blew up a V-dub.
Yeah?
with a rocket launcher. That was pretty cool.
By accident, or that was the target?
No, that was the target. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was out there. It was like about a mile away.
Really?
And you got your scope, you got the sights on the thing, and you got a big rocket launcher on your shoulder, and then you just pull the trigger and
wait.
Just this big cylinder on your shoulder, and then and you're looking, you can't believe what you've done, and you see this thing. Have I done that? And then and the whole thing blow up, big explosion, and then you sort of look around at your mates, and you feel like a man.
Yeah, you feel like, oh, God damn, I get used to this.
Yeah. And it was shortly after that I thought, oh man, I don't think I should be doing this. This isn't in the right hands, I was very lucky that was aimed correctly.
And that it was empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it becomes a whole different game when there's people involved. So what did you start to, so you got out of the Army, and you went to college, or what?
Yeah. Went to university.
What did you study over there?
So then I did a bit of philosophy.
Really?
Sociology.
Really?
And art theory.
Art theory. I've done some of that.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, Phil, you built your brain.
Exactly.
You learned how to look at things and understand things. You understand people. You understand bullshit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I really set myself up for being a stand-up.
Yeah, you did. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think the art theory one's a little dicey.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to really get regular people to get interested in that.
Yeah.
Looking at these two pictures, were the Flemish actually painting, or were they working from a reproduction through a lens, because camera obscuras were popular at the time? So what's the credibility of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost the audience. Then again,
they wandered off. Wait.
No, this is important.
Yeah, what about this? Oh, come back in. Hey, he's doing more.
Wait for a beat, and then you take a beat, and hit the couple. That'd be funny to do a joke in Morse code.
Well, yeah. I mean,
have you done it?
Well, I've got my new stand-up show I'm working on. I'm doing some Morse in there. I mean, it's all very well, I could do a joke in Morse, but there's no point, because no one else knows it, and I could be beeping anything.
That's right.
And the worst thing about Morse is that it takes so long to get through a word, because every letter is like next letter.
Why is it still used, do you think?
Well, it's not.
Oh,
it's not. It's dead. It's dead. But
it's a dead art.
It's still there. It's like Latin.
Yeah.
It's a dead language that's
there's still some
intellectuals use.
Yeah, they're just holding on to it.
Yeah.
Believe in the Morse communication.
Yeah, bring it back.
So, all right, so you go to college for that stuff. What was the plan there?
Well, I think probably no plan. The plan was to get a degree and then do journalism, because that was a postgraduate course. So
right.
I thought I'd be a journalist.
But like art theory, did you love art?
So yeah, I'm good at art. I like art. I like talking about.
Do you paint?
Art. Not much. I draw.
Yeah.
Sketch. Yeah.
And who were your favorite artists? Like what?
Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And all the classics. Picasso.
Yeah. And you just learn art theory. So you read a lot of art criticism.
Yeah, well, for me, the big thing was, what's the difference between art and craft? Mm-hmm. So, how do you even say what art is? Mm-hmm. And because this is art. Oh, is it? And how do you prove that?
Right.
Well, anything can be art, and no, it can't.
Right.
Certain things aren't art. For something to be art, it has to. The art community, the art world, have to agree that it is. So,
right.
And then you have to be in the art world. So there's this elitist kind of thing with artists.
It absolutely is.
It really is.
And it's between artists and the wealthy.
Yeah, right.
You have to have the patrons to purchase the thing for a lot of money that sets a standard.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting. The deal between art and craft is that any idiot can throw some paint on a canvas. That's always been the argument with modern art.
Yeah.
Is that like someone who's ignorant can look at a piece of modern art done by a genius and go that's garbage.
Yeah,
and they can look at a piece of modern art by someone who does know what they're doing and not see any difference between the two.
Yeah.
And the difference is, that guy paid his dues, and if you look at his old stuff, he could paint the shit out of something.
Yeah, exactly.
And now he's taken it a different place because he's got the skill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the whole thing, and then there's a bit of confusion over, who's in the art world. Are we all in it or not? I mean, no, apparently we're not.
Right.
It's only the artists that are.
Sure. So the artists that the rich people decide.
Yeah.
The rich people and the critics.
Yeah.
Come together to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's what sets history going.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we solved that. So You're pretty good at that. You did all right in that area.
Yeah, I did okay.
So you didn't do the journalism thing. You didn't go all the way
No,
through?
in the end, I mean, this is where comedy really came in for me. When I was at university, I joined the comedy club, which is like a social club of, like-minded fools that meet once a week and write sketches. And, and I sort of, thought, I'm quite funny and everyone's always laughed at me at school. Maybe this is for me. So I joined up with that. And
who was in it? Anybody that eventually surfaced in the comedy world?
No, just me. There's a few others. There's Guy Roberts. He'll like to be mentioned. He ended up writing on Short Poppies, actually.
You pulled him back in?
Yeah, I pulled him back in after all these years. He
Nice.
was the guy that he was the president of the comedy club, and he signed me up when I was a student.
And he's been within show business in New Zealand anyways, or
well,
where?
he's done bits of writing here and there. He's very, he's one of these like classic writer, really, really funny, but then just can't get to the next level, and so I thought, well, look, I wanted
Did he
to
leave
work.
New Zealand?
No.
It's hard to get to the next level.
If you don't leave the village. Yeah, exactly. But his stuff about driftwood and his
great stuff.
beaches and early Maori warfare. It wasn't funny, but it was insightful. So there's a few other guys that were in there that that still do comedy today. So that's great.
So were you there? Like, would you say you were there at the beginning of the New Zealand comedy explosion?
Yes, I think so.
Were you one of the godfathers of the New Zealand comedy explosion?
I think probably one of the uncles. Yeah,
but were there guys like so you were
a couple older than me that had been around longer.
Is that true? Mm-hmm. Who were they?
Mike King.
Yeah.
And Andrew Clay, Ewan Gilmore.
These were stand-ups.
Stand-ups. Brendan Lovegrove.
And they were around, what, in the 80s?
So, no, nothing was happening till about 95.
Isn't that wild? Yeah. So were there, but when you were like 20 or whenever you were in the comedy club, were there tour, because I know there are gigs in New Zealand because I was asked to do them and I should have when I was in Australia. But were there touring comics? Because the weird thing that I realize is that, stand-up comedy is really this weird American thing. And for years, there was a dominance of it. You'd get American touring comics that would go, do international shows, and you'd get to see that. And then at some point, every country now has an indigenous comedy scene. Yeah. And like the Americans are like, yeah, we got it. We know how to do it now. We got our own guys.
Yeah.
So were there guys touring that you were able to see at that time?
Not in New Zealand.
Not at all,
no,
right?
No one came from overseas there. I mean,
and what was popular there comedically on TV and stuff? Who were the
well, British, British, and American sitcoms.
Yeah,
but mainly things like Blackadder. You'll know that.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson stuff.
He's funny, man.
Not the 9 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Obviously Monty Python was
huge. Of course. Yeah.
But in terms of and in New Zealand, we had a couple of sort of. We had sort of all-round entertainers type guys, back in those days.
Right, song and dance man.
In the 80s, yeah. So
what'd they do? Like sketches and songs?
Yeah, they would do. Yeah, so in particular, Billy T. James, who was a Maori performer, and he was a very talented man, guitar, singing, dancing. Well, not much dancing actually, but a lot of jokes, a lot of comedy.
And you go see that as a kid, or
no? I was too young. But he was really. It was him, and then there was another chap called John Clark, and he's been a bit of an inspiration to me. He was doing this kind of, which this show, Short Poppies, plays quite a homage to, is he would do the mockumentary style comedy back in the mid to late 70s.
Where he would film
so he would film himself,
pieces.
As a character, with a journalist following him around as a farmer. His character was Fred Dagg, and he would, with a straight face, tell him all of this absolutely ridiculous stuff that's going on in his farm, and you just have to watch. And it was like, but no one had seen this before,
right?
And we were sort of watching and going, "What is this real? What's going on here?"
So was that good?
Yeah, really good. And then we didn't have that again for a long, long time. And then of course after years later, we got things like The Office and all the rest of it.
Sure.
But he was doing that sort of 1973, 1974.
And that was on the local television?
That was on television, yeah. And you knew it was a joke because you knew, well, because the stuff he was saying was ridiculous.
Right.
And he's a very, very funny man, but did it all straight-faced. And he became this iconic character, this Fred Dagg. And then he moved to Australia. And then we never,
for the big time.
Yep. And then he never returned.
Did he continue doing that kind of work?
I think he sort of didn't do so much of that character, but he's still today in Australia doing political satire and doing
Isn't that wild? That do you have a relationship with him?
No, I never met him.
Does he know about your show? Does he know that there is a tip of the hat to him?
I think so, and I think I've sort of said this in a few press media things that, and so hopefully he will like the show and know that that he inspired me, because just that work that I would have seen probably in the 80s, and then I carried on with when I became a stand-up. Really, I was inspired by the British. Like the Pythons, more sketch stuff, and so I really wanted to be in a sketch troupe. That didn't really happen. I was in a comedy duo for a while.
Well, how'd that work?
That went really well. It's with Grant Lobbin. He's my old comedy pal.
Was there like a standard kind of a straight guy, goofy guy setup?
Yeah, it was.
So you were the over-the-top guy?
I was the over-the-top, sort of uptight leader, and he was the sort of dopey, kind of laid-back, laconic kind of guy who played the bass guitar and just looked fallible. Yeah.
So he was like sort of the deadpan-y guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real oddball. And he still is, and he's in the show too. I got him in the TV show later on, so put him in there to act, and he did a fantastic job.
It's nice that you took care of your boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like when you started doing stand-up in New Zealand, I got to assume there wasn't a comedy club initially. No.
Well, when I first started, I guess during this at university.
Yeah.
Then a comedy club opened up, and it was big news. And it's still to this day the only purpose. Well, it wasn't. It was actually a porn theatre before it was a comedy club.
Natural evolution.
Exactly. But I'm going to say purpose-built comedy club. And so there's still only one.
In Auckland?
It's in Auckland, yeah. It's called The Classic. But these days there's a lot of other venues that offer comedy on a weekly or monthly basis, in Wellington and Auckland.
Now, what was the way into recognition? Did you do the festivals? Did you go, how did that work? So when you first put together your act, you're in college, you're writing, you're in a sketch group, and then you put together a solo act. And the comedy I've seen you do, it's long form, it's big, it's physical, and, which is, to me, a rare gift to actually be able to have confidence and innately be physically funny and keep pushing that.
Yeah.
Look
at me now.
Yeah. I'm still doing this.
Look at this. Look at this impression. I'm stuck in a current.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
But it's funny, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm into. I'm into physical comedy. We spoke about Rowan Atkinson. Jim Carrey also was an influence on me.
But it's funny that the role in Flight of the Conchords is not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's completely.
The opposite.
Yeah. And it was
very
hilarious.
Static. Yeah.
And, I guess a guy whose natural tendencies is to be big.
Yeah.
When you got to tighten it up, all that energy's going somewhere.
Yeah.
So the intensity of it really, really worked well.
I guess.
But was that the first time you ever had to basically shut it down?
Yeah. And it was so good for me because, Jermaine, he trusted me. He said he wanted me to be him and Brett. Wanted me in this role, and particularly it was Jermaine who would say to me now and again, you've got to tone it down, your eyes are getting big, or whatever, because I do these big eye things. And and I'm back in those days, I'm just I was getting this amount of success, and I was thinking, oh, wow, I'm really rocking it here.
Yeah.
But I still needed him to sort of tone me down, and then I guess the new skill that I developed through this was the improvising, the sitting behind this desk, having two guys in front of me, and then just being more of a wordsmith than using the physicalities.
You did a lot of improvising on that show?
Yeah, during the band meetings, we did a lot of that, especially the second season. We were very confident. We know each other so well, and we found that some gold would come out.
Well, it's funny because the sort of the tenor of that show, like in the interaction, because they're both kind of low key, but they're both very different versions of it.
Yeah.
So there was never I think that gave that a beautiful pace to the show that nobody was like. Bleh!
Yeah, there was no one crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe Mel, a little bit the fan, but
she's great. Yeah. So what you do, Edinburgh and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
How many years into comedy were you? Because I noticed that like in that world, like when you do Edinburgh, you usually need a one-person show or to have the idea that there is a through line or that it is a theater piece.
Yeah.
And I think that takes a little of the onus off on getting a laugh every 30 seconds.
It does, yeah.
Because you can sort of spread it out. Is that the first time you put together an hour?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think. I mean, when I initially went over there, I was in a group. And we did maybe a 10-minute spot each. There was 4 of us New Zealanders. We were called New Zealand's Brat Pack. We were young, hip, and hilarious.
Did you pull audiences?
A little bit, yeah, because we walked around all day in suits and drank a lot. And
handing out flyers?
Yeah, handing out flyers, just hanging out in bars, trying to look cool, trying to get girls involved. And, we were young, we were like in our 20s, and we got a few people in. But the following year I did my first solo show, but I'm still in those days thinking, I've got to be funny 100% of the time. I can't let it up.
Right.
So I wasn't doing the sort of the long form stories that I'm doing now.
Right.
But back in those days, it's to do with maturity and stuff, and I really felt like I had to get these guys laughing constantly. So I did a lot of physicality and stuff. And looking back on those early shows, they're pretty shambolic. But over the years, they got better. So I've done like 8 Edinburghs now.
Really?
Yeah.
And you still go?
Well, I'm not going this year. The last one I did was 2012, and that was a really big show. And it's a big thing to be there for the whole 3 weeks. I took my family and the kids and everything, and we did really well. So then last year I took the whole year off. Really climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
What?
In Africa?
Really?
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
So I climbed a mountain and.
This is before we get to Mount Kilimanjaro, because I'd like to know the personal journey you took there.
Okay.
As an American, I understand that a good chunk of your yearly income, if you jump through the hurdles of Edinburgh and build that audience, it's a nice, it's a big piece of your.
Yeah, it is.
And so, but like for me, I'm like the thought of going back again is just horrifying. Like, I can't imagine going back every year for 3 years. Because, like, as an American, I think even as anybody, it's hit or miss.
It is.
You don't know if you're going to get the Scotsman review, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? The Scotsman?
Oh, yeah, the Scotsman.
Yeah, if you don't nail that, you're fucked.
You're going to get 4 stars in there.
Or you're fucked.
At least, otherwise you're out. Yeah,
nine people for a month.
Yeah.
9-10 people. It's brutal.
And that's the horrifying nature of it, is the critics and the reviews. And they come out all the time. And I mean, I can go there, and because I've got a bit of fame behind me, I'll get a crowd. But if the reviews aren't good, they can still damage me a lot. And as an artist, they get to you because you say to yourself, I'm never going to look at any reviews, and you can get away with doing that, but. Some Chinese whispers comes through, and you hear that you got a bad one or something like that, and
you can't help but look at it.
And so you just, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But
and if they're good, if they push your buttons, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like if you can actually look at a review and go, that's bullshit. But usually, if it's if it's a real astute, mean reviewer, they'll hit you right where you live, and you're like, maybe I could do that.
Exactly. And that sort of happened to me a little bit when I got the fame and then came back and did Edinburgh, because I'd done Edinburgh many times to 10, 15 people.
Right.
And then I came back after the Concords, maybe season 2 or something.
Yeah.
And was playing to 300-400 and going, oh my god, woo, finally, but then the reviews were like, this guy's not not as good as you think he is, all this sort of stuff. So there's a couple of those.
Yeah.
Luckily there were some good ones as well, but it made me wake up and go, okay, if I'm going to do this again, I'm really going to make sure the show's really, really good. And so I did that.
Did you write it all yourself, or did you? Yeah. Did you direct it? Or you had a director? Or no?
I've had a director a few times. I'm not sure if I did in the last 2.
So you go back with a vengeance. Your last one.
The 2012 one was my big success story.
And you nailed it, all the reviews?
Nailed it, everything. 5 stars, And
you're like, fuck it, I'm climbing a mountain.
That's it for me. I'm out of here. So that's why I'm not going back this year. But I am doing a UK tour.
Yeah.
Because I really believe this new show, which is called Mr. Adventure, based on some of the adventures I've done over the years and life in general being an adventure, is as good as the 2012 one.
Is there an arc to it? Is there like a transformation? Is it a theater piece?
What I do is, and this is what I did for the This Way to Spaceship, which was the 2012 show, is I have stand up, but because I like doing theatre, I want to have a narrative in the show, so I sort of bookended the stand-up with, or hid it inside a theatrical narrative.
Yeah.
So there was moments in the show where I'm totally acting like it's a one-man play. And then I'll do flashbacks to me doing stand-up, and then I'm doing stand-up for real. So I'm really sort of mixing it up, mixing theatre and stand-up up. And so I've done that again in this new show, and I just really enjoyed that.
What are some of the great adventures?
Well, there's Kilimanjaro, as you know.
So that's in the new show.
That's in the new show. I talk about that. Before then, I went to Rwanda in 2009 and searched for the mountain gorillas.
For a TV show?
That was for a TV show, yeah. You can find that on YouTube.
It was a travel show kind of thing?
It was called Intrepid Journeys, where they take well-known New Zealanders and they plop them into some place where they're not going to be comfortable. And then I have to watch them, as they struggle. But for me,
you got Rwanda.
Yeah, I got Rwanda.
Did you find the monkeys and the gorillas?
Yeah, found them all.
Yeah,
an amazing experience. Yeah, we trekked for 3 hours through the Volcanoes National Park, through all the forest, and then found these gorillas, and then spent an hour with them. And
talking?
Well, they weren't talking, but they were grunting. And there was
you could get close to them?
Oh yeah, we're like 5 feet away.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been mind blowing.
It was.
And are they rare, those particular ones? Oh, yeah.
There's less than 800 left alive.
And I got to look them up. Do they look like regular gorillas?
Yeah, they're bigger. They're mountain gorillas.
Yeah.
So they're slightly bigger, and they. Yeah, when the way they look at you, and you look at them, you just into their eyes. Yeah. The way they look at you, it just makes you think that they're thinking, we know who you are.
Yeah,
we know about you.
You
humans.
started here.
Yeah. Well, it's similar like that. And also, please, but they let us in, and there's a communication thing going on between the humans and the gorillas. It's all in my new show, but where I learnt basically how to communicate with gorillas.
And how?
I'll show you one thing. Okay, this is hello in gorilla. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
And you figured that out, or would you have a gorilla translator?
The guide told me, and he'd been working with them for 30 years.
And and when you do that, do they make the noise back to you?
Yes.
That is crazy.
And we went up there and we found the group that we had been searching for 3 hours, and the gorilla came towards us, and he was rumbling towards us. And at that point, I'm like, I'm out of here. I hid behind a tree.
Yeah.
But then Francois, who was the guide, just stood there, and he knew this gorilla. The gorilla came up to him, and then they both went like that, and then
everything was cool.
Yeah, and then basically there's another communication they did after that, and it was about whether we could go in and watch their group. So this gorilla.
So you can ask permission. Can we come in?
Exactly. Can we come in? Because it happens, when we find them, they get contacted with a tourist group like 3 times a week, and so. And then they're not always comfortable with people looking at them. They've got some family issues happening, arguments, whatever. I mean, they're so human, it's ridiculous. And so just to watch that exchange blew me away. And then we were allowed to come in, and then we went in and we just spent an hour with them watching them.
Yeah, this is my wife.
This is here's my family. And they're rolling about, sort of eating bamboo, giving their little kids horsey rides. And it was just like, for me, it was like, wow. Yeah.
It's astounding.
It's astounding.
The sort that there's a sense of love and community.
Yeah.
And play.
You feel like they've got it right, though, because they're lounging about and they're looking at us as if saying, man, you got too much going on in your head, and look what you've done with your species. Just leave us the F alone.
Just by virtue of the fact that you're wearing clothing.
Yeah.
You're hung up on things.
Yeah, exactly. Look how tight those things, you got skinny jeans on there. Oh, you're a fool. Those legs are yours, must be feeling it.
Oh, that's amazing. So the Kilimanjaro thing, but was the Kilimanjaro thing a voluntary thing or another show?
That was for World Vision. So I volunteered to climb the mountain with some other well-known people.
Are you one of those people that like that? These are things you would never have fucking done Had you, like if you hadn't been pushed into
possibly, yeah. And this is the best thing about being a comedian and then being a famous comedian is that these opportunities come up. And, I would always say to my kids, if they want to go down this route to entertain, do it just simply because of the opportunities that you get given. And you get to meet people, cultures all over the world and, go and search for gorillas and all this sort of weird stuff that's happened to me. Climb a mountain. All for good causes.
Sure.
And because people, want to see you do these things, and and as long as you're respectful, and you learn a lot about every area that you go into, try and speak the language, try and learn some of it. You come out as a better person. So I say yes to them. And even though I've got 2 children, I mean, I draw the line if there's anything like a skydiving thing off. No.
Yeah,
So it's all got to be pretty safe.
Right. Well, and also the interesting thing about being a comic and being put in those positions is that, as a comic, you know you're going to be funny. You go in front of an audience, you got control, you do your thing. But, when you're out there with wild animals or precariously perched on a mountain, your first instinct, the funny it's not going to help you necessarily.
No.
There's a vulnerability to it.
Yeah.
That was there footage of you actually frightened and...
Yeah, there is, and for the mountain climb, I mean, I was a little under the weather. I had a sore throat, and the higher up I got altitude-wise, I struggled, and I was...
To breathe even, right?
Yeah, really, and it was touch and go as to whether they were going to send me down at one point, but they thought I might have had altitude sickness, which of course, can be a killer.
You get throw up and everything.
Yeah.
You can die from it?
You can, yeah.
Really?
If it's not, if you don't see it quick enough and send you back down. But these days when you do these climbs, you have so many people looking at you.
And you got oxygen tank, right? No,
you don't need the oxygen tank for this climb.
Is it the biggest peak or the second biggest?
It's one of the top 9.
Yeah.
So it's certainly the biggest in Africa, that's for sure. But
oh my God! So you went to the top?
Got to the top and just was a crying mess. Just literally just in tears because I could was having trouble breathing. And then they just said, all right, you should go down now. And and some of the others sort of stayed up there, and they sort of went round the edge of it, found an even higher point, But by that time, I was like, I had to go down. And as soon as I started going down, I just felt better and better. And it's amazing what oxygen does to us, and we just take it so much for granted.
Yeah.
But
was the view up there pretty?
Yeah, amazing, spectacular. So we got up there at sunrise. So we left. The last 6 hours of the climb, because the whole thing took 6 days.
6 days?
6 days. And we camped camping? Along the way, yep. Real expedition, and then the last 6 hour climb was pretty much straight up this scree, zigzagging our way up. The hardest thing I've ever done. I was moving at the pace of an old man, sort of, stuck in a rest home, trying to get to the toilets in the middle of the night, with his walker. Finally I can get there. You're right, Alfred. Yeah. Really awful, and
did you feel like a personal victory once you got to the top?
I just hated every step of it, and it was so cold, and I had three pairs of gloves on, and the jackets, and so much clothing on, and of course that just makes it so much harder. And we had the walking stick thing, and I just couldn't. I had handed my walking stick away, so I'm not having that. That's another thing I have to hold. I can't cope with any of it.
So you were completely out of any comfort zone at all?
No comfort whatsoever. Just wanted it to end, and got up the top, saw the sunrise, did a 360 view of Africa. Wow, this is amazing. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, you couldn't even enjoy it because it was not going to erase the misery.
No, it was not enough to erase the misery.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. Do not do it, guys. But, I've got the stories.
But the gorillas was good.
Yeah, the gorillas was really good. But I'm not a mountain climber. But the worst thing is, you climb one mountain, and then the phone rings. Hey, got another thing here for you. And so this year, I'm scheduled to do Everest.
Yeah. Are you really?
Base camp.
Come on. Oh.
So that's not all the way. It's the base camp, but it's still high.
I just learned that there's people up on Everest just frozen there. That they don't...
Oh, yeah.
That fucking tripped me out.
That's weird, eh?
That they just leave them up there.
Yeah.
Why do they leave them? Because you can't...
Too much to bring them back. And
that is so bizarre. Like, I saw pictures or something of just...
Really?
There's these...
Oh, man.
There are known spots along the way where they're just frozen folks.
There's a guy.
There's a guy.
Right. Keep walking.
Don't
poke him.
It's worth it.
Yeah. That won't be you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I'm got no interest in going. Like, I'm going to base camp, and then we're doing this time. There's like 6 of us comics going. Some British guys, Canadians.
Who?
Not sure. I can't remember the names.
Yeah.
But Glenn Will.
Oh, Glenn's going.
You know Glenn?
Yeah, he better clean up for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think he's in some training now. I must email him actually. He's a good buddy of mine. So I'm really looking forward to him coming along.
Oh yeah, make sure he's.
Craig Campbell, I think, is going. It's another Canadian comic.
Make sure Will is fit to handle it.
Yeah. I think it's like a 9-day trek, this one.
Oh, boy.
And it might be, the trek itself might be harder.
Are you going to bring beer? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
With some, a few doobies. And once we get to base camp, we're all putting on a show. So this is a different deal, this one. We're doing stand-up.
A show with no oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do that. Did you ever do the Aspen Comedy Festival? Ever?
I heard about it.
Yeah, that was like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's about a mile high. It's not crazy, but you could definitely feel it, and your brain doesn't fire quite right. Oh. So you're kind of slurring words, and things aren't. You're
That's
like,
interesting.
why can't I?
Do people laugh more because of the
No, I don't. I just
less.
found it all to be, the mild altitude sickness, because altitude sickness, it kind of fucks you up. It fucks your stomach up, and it fucks your brain up a little bit.
Yeah.
But you do adjust to it. But, usually the festival was like 2 or 3 days, so you never really got to adjust to it, and you just you're fighting this weird thing in your mind. Like you kind of skid on words, or things would fall out, and maybe it was just me, but I don't think that the audiences were better, no.
No. Okay, no. Interesting. I mean,
you're not laughing more when you're trying to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're trying to get 50 fans to go with us, so you can sign up on this thing. It's called Stand Up on Everest, and there's a website.
How's that going? Did you get rid of all those tickets?
I'm not sure. I don't think we've sold too many, actually. So if you are keen to come up Everest with a whole bunch of comics and have a few beers, sign up, man. It's going to be the adventure of a lifetime.
So you're like, after the getting known as a stand-up, the biggest break was the Concords.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and how many seasons you guys do? 3 or 4?
No, 2.
Just 2.
Just 2, and that was it.
Why'd they do that? Why didn't they let you do more?
Well, no, they did, but the guys only wanted to do 2. The stories were told. Well, yeah. I mean, I knew from the beginning, because they were doing 2 songs an episode, that they're going to run out of songs.
Yeah.
And then writing more songs and keeping the songs as good as what they have to be, because they live or die on their songs, and their songs are so fantastic.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that like, let's end on a high. Let's not do a 3rd or 4th season where we're going, these songs aren't very good. What are we doing here?
Right.
So I respect that they wanted to get in, do a really good job, and get out, and then they can they tour off the back of it and everything, and it's become a bit of a phenomenon.
I think it's like it's more of a UK thing, or just any other industry, show business industry than America.
Yeah.
Doesn't set this premium on making 100.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what the stories are. People like you.
It's a business. Yeah. You've got we're like a factory. We're churning out. But people haven't tuned in for the last 3 seasons.
It doesn't matter.
Haven't they?
Yeah. Well, that's all the better. We can repeat the stories.
Repeat the stories. Just earn your cash. You want that Ferrari?
Yeah.
So it's a very different mindset, and we came. The British do only do 2 seasons of stuff,
and they're only like 6 episodes.
Exactly. Look at Fawlty Towers. It was like 12 eps,
and that's it.
People say it's the greatest sitcom, on the planet. And so
I guess sometimes it's better. Like, I just did a 2nd season of my show, so that's going to be 23 total. I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, what happens now?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep servicing it.
Yeah.
But to what end? I guess sometimes is the question.
Yeah,
money.
I think but creatively.
Yeah,
you've got to think. Okay, where's this? Am I
Can we do it?
Where's it going?
Yeah,
and when there is a lot of shows here in America that have gone many seasons, but and have kept us that long because they've gone on these great journeys.
And also, people like the people. After a certain point, it's like they don't care what the story is.
Yeah,
they're telling jokes and they're being those people we like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening, watching my guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, my buddies.
Which is true.
So you only did 10 episodes of Short Poppies?
I made 8.
8?
Yeah.
And do you feel like you're done?
Well, I thought I would be when I finished, because there's a different character every week. I had to portray.
And you play both parts. You're the interviewer.
No, I'm not the interviewer. That's a real journalist. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, David Ferrier.
Yeah.
And he's great, because I said to him, look, a lot of this is going to be improv, and you're just going to have hold a straight face.
Just do what you do.
Yeah, do what you do, and he's used to me goofing
Yeah,
around. So
right.
he's nice. He did a great job of holding back the laughter and acting, because he hadn't done that before, but he's having to sort of act as well as just be a journalist.
But and you had to choose, like, these are, characters that would be familiar to you in your life. It is a New Zealand-based thing in a way, right?
Well, I've lived outside of New Zealand for a long time, and you get a better head when you look back at your home, at the sort of people that you would hang out with or that you ran into many times. And it wouldn't necessarily just be New Zealanders, it'd be other people from other countries I've been to that would fit into their mould of these type of characters. But I just obviously made them all Kiwis, made them all from one small town in a little village within a village of a country, knowing that the world seems to have this kind of interest in not only New Zealand humour, but in our people and the novelty that we are. And like you were saying at the beginning of this, you've heard of this magical place, and how real is it? So I wanted to. We offered. That's one of the great things about the Concords show on HBO, was that people didn't know anything about New Zealanders, and all of a sudden they're sort of faced with Murray and these two guys, and it made everyone smile and laugh. It was optimistic, there was nothing negative about the comedy we were portraying there. It was endearing, and we were taking the mickey out of our own nation, and that was fine for everyone. And so I've kind of done that again, but broadened the world out further and shown many other characters, and they end up linking together. And I think it really shows, because of course Concords was set in New York. Yeah. This is New Zealand. Yeah. So you look and you see, the beautiful place everyone keeps talking about, and the beaches and the little towns, and you get a much more of an idea of what our home really looks like. So I'm really interested to see what people think. And also, I think that when you deal with regional characters, there's an intimacy to it. Yeah. It's unique, but there's sort of an integrity to, like, America is this huge, weird thing, and, New York on TV is New York on TV. But when you really have a backdrop of a unique sort of smaller, community, there's a depth to it that you don't necessarily see in Friends or whatever. Exactly, yeah. That's great, man. So you feel like you could do more? Yeah, I think so, because I've since come up with 4 new characters. And because I swore that, I came up with, had like 7 there, 8 total, because of the last episode, there's the head of the New Zealand television department that comes in, and I portray him as well. So all up, there's 8 people I portrayed. But then, like, within months of doing the show, getting it, finished and everything, I started to come up with, there's another guy I could come up with, and I started writing down ideas for them. And so, I can definitely do, or what I would do if I did another season, I would take maybe my 4 favourites from this one, and then extend their lives, and then add a few more. Different situations. Yeah. And you like doing all the different characters? I do. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, because that's something, like, I notice that more with some British shows, and you don't see it a lot where a guy, where you're just gonna do all of them. Yeah. It's great. Get your acting chops going, and work. I wish I could do characters. Oh, I can't. I think I can, but only for a minute or two. Right. And then I panic. I'm like, I'm still me, right? Is it? Have I slipped out of it? Yeah, that's the whole thing. You got to commit, and I really committed. As soon as I get the costume on, I become that person all day. And people know me as that person, and then as soon as I take the gear off, it's me again. That's fucking hilarious. So I know you got kids. I know you lived out here. I didn't realize you lived down the street from me. What were you doing at that time? Yeah, we got the green cards last year, the whole family and I. So we've made the move, and for the initial. You're here permanently now? Yeah, we're based here now in LA. In Studio City. Oh, I didn't know that. So, we skip back to New Zealand a lot with work bits and pieces, but our base, we're based here now. You got family back in New Zealand still, right? Of course, yeah. We're both, my wife and I both have our, aging parents that we've got to keep going back. Because now they got grandkids, and you owe it to them. Yeah, the grandkids. So we will keep returning, and I'll definitely say yes to projects that I'm interested in, that it might be there or in Australia, things like that. Whatever the idea is. But I think LA is a great base. Sure, for show business. Yeah, of course, it's the best. Yeah, so, and this show is a Netflix deal, so it's going to be kind of evergreen, always available. Yeah. Once it's up, it's up.
That's a beautiful thing. You can watch it anytime.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It's on the gallery.
Yeah.
Go and check it out.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the future.
Have you got movies coming up, or what are you doing?
I'm in talks with some independent type films.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but nothing big studio based yet. No.
And
we'll see what happens.
And are you in touch with the Concords guys?
Yeah, constantly.
Are they here?
They come and go a lot. They're
Mostly.
based in Wellington in New Zealand, though. They
Really?
live back there. Yeah, I mean, Brett, he's just finished doing the Muppets 2. He does the music.
Oh, wow,
So
that's big.
Yeah, so he's involved in that. And then Jermaine pops up as evil, bad, funny guys in movies. So he's back and forth quite a bit. I think he's in Rio 2 as the evil cockatiel or something.
And did you use any other...
He directed a couple of the Short Poppies episodes.
Oh, did he?
Jermaine, that was his first directing.
I love that there's this
escapade.
New Zealand contingent.
Yeah.
And that you're kind of like, whoever gets some success kind of pulls them in.
Yeah, pull the other guy in. Hey, can I have a go at that?
yeah.
Yep, you come through, you do the music, and you bring the drinks, and then can I act on
I
it?
love that. I like when people like take care of their pals, and that you brought that guy from college in. Are there other stand-ups that no one would know except for New Zealand people in any of the stuff?
Yeah, there's a few other comics in there. We predominantly used comedians that could act and could improvise in the show. So my wife, who Rosie, she cast it. So she hand-picked people. We didn't do any auditions. And we also got some big names in there. We've got Stephen Merchant, Sam Neill.
Oh, Sam Neill. How did he come up?
Well, he's a New Zealander, and we just put an email out, and he went, okay. He's obviously a fan of my comedy.
Yeah.
Carl Urban, who you know as Dredd, and he's in Star Trek. He's in there. If Carl Urban fans would be surprised at the role he took in my comedy series, because they're used to seeing him as this action kind of guy.
Right.
He took the complete opposite. I won't let on.
How was he? Great?
Amazing.
Oh, that's great.
He's a great actor. So, yeah.
And do you want to direct movies? Have you got that bug yet?
I want to write one first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to get one.
Well, I'm glad things are going so well for you, man.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
That's it. That's our show. I like that guy. That turned out to be a great conversation. I like learning about new countries and comedy scenes elsewhere. As per normal, go to WTFpod.com for all you WTF pod needs. Check my calendar. Get some justcoffee.coop. If you get the WTF blend, I get a little bit on the back end there. Good coffee. I'm drinking it now. Am I drinking it now? Sure. Pow! Look out. I just shit my pants. JustCoffee.coop. Available at WTFpod.com. Get the app. Get the free WTF app. Upgrade to the premium app, and you can stream almost 500 episodes. Who's going to be on the 500th episode? I don't fucking know. I'll let you know what's going on with my hands and feet. All right, that should be an